This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast. Hey friends, welcome to All Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine. I'm your host, Lindsay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a super fun episode with my friends, Kara Goucher and Des Linden. That's right. I'm going to go on a limb here and say they are your favorite podcasters, co-hosts of the podcast Nobody Asked Us, both beloved athletes in our wonderful sport of running. Both have been on the podcast multiple times. Kara used to host the Relay podcast with me, which was short-lived but super fun, and we miss her so much. Of course, we all know Des from her 2018 win in Boston, but more importantly, the consistency she has had over the years in running. And of course, we all know Des from her 2018 Boston Marathon win, but I think most importantly, her consistency and the way she shows up and supports those around her, and has done that all these years. Both Kara and Des are authors. I, like many of you, read their books. I guess wasn't last year, it was the year before. And it has been so fun to see their friendship play out over this past year when they formed this friendship and started this podcast. And we talk about the evolution of all that in this episode. Kara, two-time Olympic and world silver medalist, one of the most honest, authentic people I have ever met. And I think what is most exciting about their podcast, of course it's super fun, but it has the opportunity to elevate our sport outside of our little bubble. They have the reach to bring more people in and get more people interested in the sport of running, which is what we all know is beneficial and good. And so I am cheering them on as they continue to grow and see success in their podcast and beyond. Okay, I hope that intro did both of them justice. And also, I know most of you listening probably know this duo, and they don't really need an introduction anyway. In the show notes, though, of this episode, I will put links to prior conversations I've had with both Kara and Des on this podcast if you want to go back and check out those conversations. All right, friends, please enjoy my conversation with Kara and Des. All right, friends, happy New Year. And today joining me on the podcast is your favorite duo. I know you're the favorite duo, Des Linden and Kara Goucher. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lindsay. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us.
You know, Des, you really kind of stole Kara from us because we did have Kara on Relay for a while. You do know that,
That's
right?
That's true. I know. I don't know. What came first? Kara?
Actually, to be fair, I had promised this thing with Des first, and then I committed to the Relay, and then it was too much, and then the Des and Kara thing took off, and it just felt like, but you can go with that narrative. I like that. Des stole that.
That's fine. Make me the villain. I like it. I'm
Des
the
the
villain story.
I want to start this conversation with, is Nobody Asked Us, like, is it more than you imagined it would be? Tell me how it feels for you right now, because it seems like it's been super successful from the outside looking in.
Let's create a plan here. So I'm just going to say, first off, hi, Kara. I feel like we did the brief and then didn't say hi to Kara really because I was talking about myself, and I apologize.
That's okay. We were already on a work call earlier this morning.
But how about you answer first, and then I'll answer, and then we can rotate.
Okay. So I'll go first on this one. Yeah. Okay. It's way more than we thought it was going to be, at least for me. Like, it's been so fulfilling in so many ways, and it's been so fun to get to know Des and like be in her orbit and then be accepted and hang out with her, which has been super fun. Just getting to know her. I think that's like you respect someone for a long time, but you don't necessarily know them. And so that's been super rewarding to have her as a real friend and hang out with her. And then also just like, this podcast has blown up in a way that I don't think either of us ever really thought it would. You know, we thought like, oh, we'll put it out there and we'll see what happens. And if no one listens, screw it. At least we tried, you know? Yeah. And it's turned into, I mean, it doesn't feel like a job, but it has turned into a job, which has been a surprise, I think, to both of us.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest surprise to me is like it doesn't feel like work, but there's definitely lots of parts where you're like, oh, we could improve that. We could tweak this. Like we could monetize that if we have time. So we're lucky to get to hang out and chat and get to know each other, and that's all been really fun and rewarding. And then we're also really lucky to have Chris, who's like, let me keep you guys in order and like remind you that it's actually a business as well and can be bigger than it is, or you can keep it exactly where it's at, and that's fine too. But there's a lot of opportunity here, which was surprising.
Yeah, what's your favorite part?
I don't know, the weekly calls. I think that people just think they're really planned out, and maybe they don't, but we really just get on and like kind of catch up, and it's stuff we're interested in following anyways. So we like mildly touch on it via a group text, and then it's like, oh, I can't wait to dig into this. And like, it's sort of like our little gossip chat is what the podcast is, because it's just like real time, like digging into these topics, and it's been fun. We haven't had to do like too many edits where we're like, oh, that actually can't be on there.
Yeah.
So really there's one or maybe two that we worked on for a while. Yeah. And so just, chatting about track and field and running, and with Kara, who really loves the sport on a deep level and is super involved. And it's a fun outlet.
I think the most fun is our text thread. It's like so random all day long, which I love. And then also we have an Instagram DM thread, which is also hilarious because it's Des and Chris and I, and like Chris never gets any love, but like we couldn't do this without Chris. Like he is 100% like as big of it as into it as we are. Like honestly, we would. If it was just up to Des and I, we would have put out those 3 episodes and it would have crashed. And even that wouldn't have happened because he was the one that talked us into doing it. So, but we also have like a little Instagram DM where they send funny reels and it's like a glance into their personality. So it's really fun.
I would never want anyone to go through my DMs, but like my groups of like the memes they get and how they're ordered and who can see what that I laugh at, like would tell you everything.
Yeah, some of that has to stay in a safe
It has to.
This cannot be known.
You need the password now for deleted photos on iPhones. Like that's what I need for DMs.
Oh, totally. Go back to early days. I want to know what your first impressions of each other were.
I never heard of it.
I don't remember racing Des on the track. I'm just going to be honest. Yeah. I don't, but we did. I first remember learning about Des when I was pregnant because I want to say she ran Chicago, and I always say this. I want to say, and then you correct me. It was Chicago, right?
Yeah, but I think you're wrong here because before that was World Champs.
Oh, shit. Oh,
it's fine.
So technically, like,
wait, do you guys cuss on your podcast?
Yeah. We definitely cuss. I just wasn't sure.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're right. No, it was World Champs. But did I know about you before World Champs? I guess I didn't really.
Probably not.
So you're right. I ran World Champs in 2009, and I kind of was like struggling coming in, and I finished, and then like right with me was this woman who I didn't really know her at all, and it was Des. And then I got pregnant after that. And then I kind of watched her. She ran Chicago that year, and you ran 226?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she's legit. Like, I had an off day at World Champs, so I was able to talk myself into like, oh, well, I left myself vulnerable. But then it was like, oh, no. Like, remember, this is pre-super shoes, right? So I was like, oh, she's legit. And then I think the next time we raced each other was Boston after I gave birth to Colt. And I remember my coach was like, she is not a threat. But I was like, she's legit. I can't just axe her off as like, oh, whatever. And she almost won the Boston Marathon, And so I don't think that we really ever talked though until maybe after that race. And I just remember she encouraged me during the race, which really stood out because I've raced a lot of people over the years and most people don't do that. I've even gotten elbows from some of the most beloved runners.
Name names.
In a wide open road, where I've gotten elbows, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. And so she encouraged me. And then afterwards, she was just really funny. Like, do you remember we went to the House of Blues, Des? I don't know if you even remember.
I do, but that's like a nightmare for me. So I'm sure I was just like,
no,
I
you
will
were just
make
like funny
jokes
and
about
nice
this.
and all. And anyway, so I guess my first impression was, to be totally honest, I didn't know who she was. And then I didn't take her seriously at first, and then I definitely did. And then she kicked my ass, and I never beat her again.
Wait, pause. I want to know how you feel about her coach saying you are not a threat.
That doesn't bother me. I feel like I probably knew that to a degree, and it was I've always been like the underdog. So it was like, well, yeah, you have to prove it. And I do think I am a threat, but until you become a threat, like in your mind, it's great. But until you do it, he's right. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a little more gratifying. It's just like one more feather in the cap. But obviously, my goal wasn't to earn the respect of Alberta. It was to win the Boston Marathon. So that's that.
Okay, what was your first impression of Kara?
I mean, she's a rock star. I remember being interested in Colorado and like getting the pamphlets or whatever. And it's like, oh, she's like on the cover of the recruiting magazine. Like she just won NCAAs, like just someone that you're like, that's what I want to be doing. And then I think I've told this story before on our pod, but I do remember being in the airport after it was regionals or NCAAs, my freshman year, and like the Gouchers were walking through the airport. It was like such a big deal. So you had like all these people waiting at a gate. It was like Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona's, all the teams traveling, and it was like wildfire went through the whole like area of the gate. And it's like the Gouchers are coming through the airport. They're gonna stop by, and I was like, okay, well, I'm sure she's great, but I'm not gonna like nerd out like these people. And it was like I feel like you guys swung by and like chatted with everyone for a bit, and it was like, oh, that was cool. So that was like me, like knowing of her and that, all of that. But I feel like really meeting, honestly, if we're talking about having a conversation that like stuck and I was like, oh, like I formed an opinion, it was maybe trials when we bumped into each other heading into the hotel, and we're like, there's so much to talk about. Let's go grab beers. It was like midnight, and then it was just like, oh, I could chat with this lady and have a good conversation, and like this is cool.
That was fast forwarding a lot of years. That was 20.
Yeah, but I feel like meetings were just like so brief.
That's the first time I feel like we ever truly talked.
Yeah,
and like we bumped into each other going into the hotel like at midnight, and then we were like, yeah, we should just go to a bar, and we did
at midnight.
Yeah, and then she was like so cool, and I could have talked to her forever, but the bar was closing.
They were like,
and it was awesome for me because I was having kind of a rough weekend. Like that was the first race I went to where I was not a lead anymore, and I was just as a spectator. And now I can go and there's zero prick on my heart. But at the time, my heart was pricking. It was like, yeah, like I remember I went down an alley at one point and just like openly cried, and then went back. And then later, my old agent was like, "Someone saw you crying in an alley. Are you okay?" But anyway, that ended up being like the best part of the trip was like, I got to know her and I was like, God, she's really cool. And it was fun. And then it was really fun. Yeah. So that was the first time we ever truly talked, other than just like, we've been at press conferences and things like that, but where we truly talked, that was it.
I don't know why that's so surprising to me. I don't know. I feel like people on the circuit and that are running the same events and stuff like know each other better than that.
No, it's sort of surprising to me too, but you're right. You're going to say a track, you're in the same place, you're using the same facility. Like the roads, you just go and maybe you cross paths and it's like a hey. Like I would say most friendships with folks like that, you see them twice a year and it's like, hey, how's it going? Like how's your family doing? Whatever. It's like really surface level. Mm-hmm. You don't really get to know anyone that well unless you're teammates with them.
Yeah, I would say track is a little different because if you're on the circuit together, then you're like traveling together. So you're at the airport together, you're eating meals together. Where with marathoning, you see people just a couple times a year, like she said. So you're friendly, but you don't.
Enough.
You're not. Yeah. But she and I had like, I don't know if we had texted or just DM'd each other a few times over the years, but we had never actually just hung out until 2020.
Yeah.
It kind of makes your project and your podcast more exciting, honestly. Like, it's not like you're these like longtime best friends that, you know, have all these like inside jokes from back in the day and all these things. You've kind of like gotten to know each other through the process.
100%. I think that's what, like, I bet if you go back and listen to the first few
So
episodes,
awkward.
you'd be like, this is uncomfortable. It was like a couple first dates, and you're like, I don't know. Do I want to keep doing this? What are we going to talk about? I'm like pulling teeth, asking questions. And it's cool. It's cool. It's worked out, but it could have gone a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody wants to hear like the first 20 episodes of anybody's podcast. Like,
fair.
it is
That's
like
fair.
so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Mine are actually, because I'm on like 580 or 90 or something stupid like that. And it's like, I don't even think you can find the old ones. So that's good. That's a good thing.
How far back would you listen to comfortably where you're like, oh, I could like critique this and get better?
Yeah. Maybe like 2018. Maybe 2018. Okay. That's like 2 years in. But the thing is I think it was 2020. I stopped editing my podcast because I edited it for like 4 years. And so now I don't listen back ever, which is great because I don't really want to listen back to the conversations. But it is a little bit problematic because when you edit back, you're like, ooh, why did I say that? Or like, I have this like tick that I always say this thing. And so I don't know to like fix those things. So every once in a while when there's a guest I'm really excited about, I'll be like, let me just like spot listen to this to see.
Does your editor give you feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, she'll be like, you've been saying one thing I was saying a lot for a while. I would always be like, that's so beautiful. Like I would always call things beautiful. And it's like, why don't you think of a different descriptive word for that response?
There's other ones out there.
Yeah.
But she cleans it up too. Like
Yeah.
she'll clean it up if I say something stupid or, you know, whatever. But
It's good trust.
yeah. This episode of I'll Have Another Podcast is supported by Lagoon Sleep. If you are not sleeping on Lagoon pillows yet, what are you doing? Why are you not doing that? It is the best way to get a good night's sleep is to have a great pillow. And the great thing about these pillows is they send you with what is inside the pillow so it can be as full as you want it to be. That's the thing about pillows. You get a pillow and like they're all the same. With these pillows, you can customize it. You fill it up as much as you want it. And you take a 2-minute quiz and then Lagoon pairs you with the pillow that is just right for you. If you're a back sleeper, side sleeper, whatever, if you want a more firm pillow, a softer pillow, they pair you up with the pillow of your dreams. Ryan, the founder of Lagoon, is so passionate about sleep. He not only has researched and designed these amazing pillows, he cares about the other stuff too. And they have the most delicious night bites that are made with dark chocolate, not chocolate that has caffeine in it. So don't worry about that. These are rich and velvety dark chocolate bars crafted with 200 milligrams of magnesium and 200 milligrams of L-theanine to help you relax your body and mind while enhancing your nightly sleep routine. It's also like super yummy to have a little bit of chocolate before bed. They're all organic, caffeine-free, and gluten-free ingredients, and they are the perfect nighttime treat. We all know magnesium is good for the sleep, and we all know chocolate is good for the soul. So have both. Go to lagoonsleep.com/Lindsay and use the code Lindsay, Landsey, for 15% off your order. Check out the pillows, check out the night bites. You won't regret it. Nothing is more important than sleep. All right, back to the show. Were there misconceptions and things like that? And do you think there are misconceptions about you guys, like in the greater running world, that maybe now that your podcast is out there have been like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like debunked or whatever?
That's a good question. Go first.
Me? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what misconceptions are about me. I know what people, message me on a weekly basis, which is negative, like I've been dealing with that stuff for years. Like I love attention and I, whatever. So I don't know if that's been debunked because all I've done has been like, look at me more. Now I'm going to this.
Nobody asked us. Look at me.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I do like attention. I don't know. There are things about Des that have surprised me. She is really thoughtful.
Look at that turn. Wow.
And she gets really mad when I say this, so I don't want to use this word. I have to think of a different word. But things do land on her more than I think she gives the impression that it does. And I find that really endearing because I think that she gives off this impression. I'm like ruining your cool exterior.
I'm building this persona for years.
Yeah, she's like, thanks a lot, Kara.
Cards are
That
crumbling.
she's just like Teflon, and in a way she is because it's not going to change what she's going to do, what she's going to stand for, what she's going to say. It's not going to change any of that. But sometimes the Teflon is a little old and it pricks her a tiny bit. And that's been surprising to me, but also really endearing to me.
I love that.
She's a real person, turns out. Yeah.
What was the original? I'm sorry.
Like, what are the misconceptions about Des Linden?
Or Kara, like you can
us
say
in
either
general.
one.
I don't know. I guess I just never go into things with like preconceived, like, oh, this is what people think, or this is what it's supposed to be. I'm just kind of like, let's just see what happens here. So there's nothing that's been like debunked per se. I definitely think we've shared sides of us that folks just didn't know. It's great to have long form where you can just chat and like offer a really big picture instead of like calculated journalist interview of boom, boom, boom. And so that's been really fun. And I'm sure people thought they knew us in a totally different way and now see a lot of different sides to it. This will probably be the opposite of what Kara is saying, but I think people just generally think I'm nice, and I'm not sure that's always the case. Like, I love the things I love, and I care about them deeply, and I defend them, even though, like, a lot of times maybe it's definitely bias, or maybe I'm wrong, and I'm just like, I don't care to see the other side. So maybe you see that sometimes on the pod. And I don't know. I'm not, in terms of Kara, I feel like people love her, like she can resonate on so many different levels and shares a lot that folks, I think it's funny, like the attention seeking is like, if anytime you share, you just open yourself up for criticism. So you can look at that side and be like, oh, well, people hate me or people don't like this, but it's like the number of people that connect with these stories that Kara is willing to share that many people aren't willing to share because it's hard is just incredible. And you see it like live shows all the time. Like someone will have this moment that touched them and they'll talk about it. And there's no question, but they're like emotional and teary. And it's like, yeah, like it made a really big impact. And if that's attention seeking or that's the word that someone picks to describe it, I mean, I guess you could say that, but it's also like very real and human and it connects with folks, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we all want to be known in some way, right? I mean, is that... Well, I was actually going to say maybe not Des.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say about Des, one thing that people might not know is that I've learned a lot from working with her is she is a huge mentor type figure to a lot of the women running right now. And again, she can give off like, oh, I'm cool, I'm whatever, but like I'm on my own, like I'm trained by myself and I do, but she's really willing to talk to other people, help other people. Like it's been really impressive to me because I didn't have anybody like that was like looking out for me or I could go to. And I just think it's really important to have people like that. So it's really cool.
What she's saying is my DMs are open if you're having trouble.
That's not what I'm saying. She has a lot going on, but she definitely, the elite women that are racing now, they do reach out to her and they know that she will respond. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed that they're like, and then I was running next to Des Linden. Like everybody thinks it's so special. And also, I've gathered that when people are running next to you, there's this like comfort. She's doing her thing. She's not going to go out and like run some race that she's not capable of running. I know that Des is comfortable where she is and she knows what she's doing. So yeah. I mean,
they're like, this will be at least a double if I could stick with her. Like, I'm not going to strike out. I won't hit a home run, but I'll get on base.
You might hit a home run. Oh yeah. I love hearing you guys. You guys are lifting each other up. Look at the women lifting each other up. What about on the podcast? Like, when there's a controversial topic that you want to like cover, but you don't want to ruffle feathers, but maybe you do a little bit, but you also got to be careful with like, I don't know, brands or whatever.
How do you handle those things? Episode?
Well, I'm actually not, but yes, in general, you know, just like different things that happen in the running world. It's like, I noticed this on Relay a little bit, like certain things that pop up, like certain members of that team will not say anything. They are like, nope, I'm not going to be part of that conversation. And so I do think there's this like fine balance line, whatever you want to call it. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I think we're willing to push, but we're not willing to blow things up. You know, it's like we want to keep doing the pod. We want to keep being able to work in the running community. We might have really strong opinions about something and voice a lot of them, but not go, you know, as deep. I think some people want to see you blow it up and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not really great. We can talk about hard things, but we can also be reasonable. I think one thing that we do fairly well is try to show a lot of different sides to issues, even the side that we don't necessarily agree with. Like, we'll go into that and be like, okay, well, this is a reason, or this is what's going on here. But I don't think we've been shy about touching on topics that are tricky or challenging. I think we've navigated it fairly well so far. I'm sure we've ruffled plenty of feathers, like media, athletes, USATF, Boston qualifiers. There's a long list. And again, I'm not like personally attached to any. There's very few opinions that I'm like really like, no, F you, you're wrong. And those ones, like, you can probably tell in the pod which ones those are. But I'm always open, most of the time open to being wrong and corrected. So that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started the pod, we were like, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about. And that's why we don't have, I mean, we do have, we have a lot of sponsors of the pod, and we do have a long-term sponsor now in Brooks, but we didn't necessarily want to be owned by a streaming platform and stuff because we wanted to be able to do it how we wanted to do it, right? And so I think we've talked about a lot of things that are controversial, but like Des said, I think Des is really good. Like, I'll be texting very angrily, and then she's very good at like just lofting like another side, you know? And that makes me think, okay, and I'm glad she'll do that, because then by the time we record, even though I may still feel the same way that I felt, I'm like, I know that other people are going to have other opinions, and it's not going to catch me off guard. You know what I mean? So she's really good at devil's advocate. And then she'll be funny and she'll be like, I mean, fuck them all or whatever. But she's like, she's very good at like reminding you that there are other sides. And I don't think I think there's probably like two things that I would not talk about on the pod until someday when I'm like, Des, we're done, I'm disappearing, and then we'll talk about them. Yeah. But other than those like couple of things, I think we're willing to talk about pretty much anything.
Wait, okay, so can I just get in on that group text to hear the two things? I just really like to know.
Not even textable. We can tell you. We'll whisper it in your ear.
We'll whisper it in your ear at some night when we're grabbing beers. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Although if I see you all in the hallway at midnight in a hotel room, I don't think I'm going out and getting beers. Maybe you could twist my arm. I don't know. That's late.
Des is good at like, you want to be in her orbit. It's fun.
That's true.
You'd be like, you know what? I know I need to go to bed. And I know this is going to set me back like 3 weeks, but I'm going.
3 weeks. Because no, I would go.
We see each other twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a few people,
you to brunch.
I know. We did go to brunch. I felt special. And I got to meet one of your best friends.
Bestie. She's chatty.
Yeah, she's super chatty. She was fun. I did feel like I got a little bit in. I felt like I got a little bit closer to you when we had that brunch.
No, you're in with Des. I'm not going to say what the text was. But when we were planning this pod, she's definitely a Lindsay Hine fan. That's all I'm going to say. You're in.
Speaking of that, it's 2 days before Christmas, and this is going to air after Christmas. But what are you guys doing for the holidays?
I'm nothing. I'm going to do nothing.
She's going to go fly somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm going to go home. I'm going to rally and figure out how to get my Delta MQDs. I don't know if those are shareable, if people want to send some my way. If Delta, if you're listening to this.
Oh, your miles.
Yeah, like Delta, if you're listening to this, like loyal fan, talk about you all the time. Can you throw me a bone? That would be throwing someone a bone. Just bump me. I need the diamonds. Diamonds are forever.
They should
but
be
also only 1 year.
They should be a sponsor on your pod. I mean, I don't know why that's not
amazing.
happening.
They definitely should.
They really should.
But that's a conflicting though, because Kara, you said you fly United, didn't you?
Yeah, I was Delta for years, but United's hub is in Denver, so now I am United. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
so, low-key holiday for me.
Do you know what
that on the
sponsor you guys have that I really, really need and want is Olipop? Are you still working with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the bone I'm going to need you to throw me, because I drink Olipop every day, and I'm like, damn it, they're on Kara and Des and Sidious Mag, and I'm buying that root beer Olipop.
I know,
way too much.
We still have a monthly subscription, even though we're sponsored by them. That's how much Olipop we drink.
It's so good. What are your
know.
favorite flavors, though? Mine's root beer and cream soda.
I like all the colas, except for I don't like the Dr. Pepper, but I don't like Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I haven't tasted the Dr.
Makes
Pepper
sense.
one.
But the boys like everything, and it's, we just haven't convinced ourselves it's like so healthy. We're there's fiber in there, and it's made out of plants. And, it's like Adam doesn't, I've said this before, but Adam stopped drinking alcohol because he was like, I'd rather have an Olipop.
Yeah, I'd rather not feel
I'm
like shit.
not that dedicated.
Me neither.
But I do love it.
They don't have a wine yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did give up wine because it really affects my sleep. But I'm a vodka tequila girl. That's those are my two. I'm gonna make a Christmas cocktail tonight.
Nice.
What's the recipe? Give us the recipe.
Okay, it is vodka. It is elderflower liqueur, and then I'm looking at this group text because a little bit of cranberry, and I think that's it. Yeah, vodka, elderflower liqueur, a little bit of cranberry, and then you put a little sprig in it. Like a sprig of, I don't know what that sprig is, but I'm seeing it in pictures. And then maybe like a little pomegranate in there. I don't know, just to make it festive.
Those are the bevies. Okay, Kara, what are your plans? And do you have a cocktail beverage?
I don't have a cocktail. I have a hard time with sparkling stuff like champagne or sparkling rosé. It gives me a really bad stomachache. So I'm boring. I just like a beer or a glass of wine. You do beer, okay.
Do you do like an IPA?
No. I like Belgian beer. I like a triple that's so strong. So then you only have to drink one, and then you feel it, but you don't have like beer gut. Like you're not feeling gross.
Yep. One on a kind of empty stomach, and you're good to go.
You're good. You feel great, and but holiday plans. So we're kind of in the middle of holiday plans. So Hanukkah starts on Christmas this year. And we're leaving the day after Christmas. So we did a little bit of a Hanukkah thing Saturday with Adam's family, but we had to leave early because Colt broke out in a fever while we were there.
Of course. Ugh.
Yeah. I think it's just like stuff's going around, and then he's finally out of school. So we let his guard down, and then his body's like, shh. Mm-hmm. So we did that Saturday. And then we're doing Christmas here. We have a small family, just us. And then we have a friend that's coming over on Christmas. And then we leave the next day to go to Minnesota, and then we'll celebrate a late Christmas with my mom and my older sister. And then my dad's sister always flies in from New York now for like 4 or 5 years now. That's our new tradition. So
that's cool.
We're in the middle of it. Yeah.
I love that you have a friend over on Christmas. Like, I love when friends infiltrate holidays instead of it just being family.
We used to call it the Misfits Christmas. So like anyone that didn't go home for the holidays, like Eric Van Halen used to come, and then our friend Marcus Hilly, and then we had like Al Kupsek, our old therapist, used to come. And so, but Eric lives in California now. He's with his family, and like blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Marcus is still coming though. So we're roasting a chicken. It's just 4 of us. But it's going to be great. Yeah.
We're staying home in Raleigh. Like, we're not going home to Indiana. And I'm like, I told a couple of my friends, I was like, if you want to just like pop in on Christmas morning at some point just to say hello, so I feel like I'm like at home, even though I'm not seeing my family, feel free. Just pop on in. I won't pop into your house. Like, you know what I mean? I know there are boundaries. Like, I'm a fan of a pop in, but like, I know that not everybody is a fan. I feel like, Des, that's your worst nightmare.
It's like a hug.
Yeah. Is that your worst nightmare?
Yeah,
a pop in?
Yeah.
But you don't live do you live in a place where there's like lots of neighbors or anything?
No, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
That's 100% my nightmare.
Oh,
Quiet
really? That
or a
surprises
pop-in?
me.
Anyone ever just stopping by unannounced.
Really?
Like, that gives me, like, I just started sweating when you said like I'm a fan of the pop-in. I was like, oh Lindsay, please just let me know. If I know you're coming, that's one thing.
Send me a text.
But then there's that, like, I'm like, if I tell you, what if you say no? And then I feel denied and embarrassed.
I'm not going to say no, but I just am like probably going to take off my sweatshirt with pit stains, and put something else on or whatever.
Oh, okay.
You're going to put her fancy shirt on.
Yeah, I might take off running tights. I might just do something. Yeah, I don't know.
I actually think it's probably most people's worst nightmare. I don't think most people like the pop-in like I like the pop-in.
I like that you like the pop-in. That's unique to you. You like people. That's good.
It makes me feel like I'm on like a college like dorm floor or something, like.
No,
anyway.
I'm sweating. Oh God, what is this?
Hey friends, I hope that you are planning to join me in Jacksonville, Florida for the Donna Marathon weekend, January 31st to February 2nd. This is my all-time favorite race of the year. Look, I know we get excited about the majors and all these big races where everybody's there and it's all these parties. Nothing beats the community you find in Jacksonville this weekend, though. There is a family fun run, which is Saturday, February 1st. There is a 5K on Saturday, February 1st, and then there's the half marathon and the marathon on Sunday, February 2nd. There's also a bar crawl, which is super fun on Sunday, February 2nd, post-race. And you can also sign up for the Visit Jacksonville Donna Booby Trap Challenge, which includes doing the Donna 5K and the Breast Cancer Marathon. So you're doing the 5K on Saturday, the marathon on Sunday. There's the half challenge where you do the 5K and the half marathon. And then you can also do, get this is pretty cool, the 110 Ultra Marathon. There are so many ways to get involved. And this race helps support the Donna Foundation, which helps families who are walking through a breast cancer diagnosis, helps them financially. They also fund groundbreaking research. I've been going to this race since 2018, and it is just the best, okay? It is the best. It's on the beach. You don't run on the sand. I can't even begin to explain how fun, like mile 10 of the half marathon is. We've got all the flamingos out, and it's a blast. I'm doing the half this year. I have an athlete, Kara, who's doing the marathon, so that's exciting. If you do want to run it, use the code Lindsay10 to get 10% off your registration. And then I'm also following a 12-week training plan for myself to build myself up from my injury to be able to run the half marathon. So if you'd like to run the half at Donna and you're kind of at the beginning building blocks of your training and you'd like to train with me, email me, lindsay@sandyboyproductions.com, and I will connect with you about training on VDOT with me and building up to this half marathon together. That's lindsay@sandyboyproductions.com. All right, again, that's breastcancermarathon.com, and use the code Lindsay10 for 10% off your registration of any of the races. What was the most surprising or exciting thing in running in 2024, if you could think of any? Whether it be like a performance or news that came out, or I don't know, anything.
I mean, I think probably the men's 1500 meter final in Paris was the most highly anticipated. And then the result was surprising, but not, in hindsight, not really surprising. You're like, oh yeah. Like everyone sort of called it, and then everyone afterwards was claiming that they called it. Like, see, I'm a genius. I told you that was gonna. It's like, well, yeah, because it wasn't that out of it made sense, and
that Cole won. You think that made sense?
Yeah, I think so. And it wasn't as surprising as people made it out to be. But the anticipation for that race, like all year long, was really fun. But they did a great job with that.
Yeah. I would agree that race lived up to the hype. Like it built ever since the World Championship the year before, it built and it lived up to the hype. I also agree it does. All the people being like, I should do this and I should do that. I'm like, I think we all said, if Cole Hocker is still there with a lap to go, Cole Hocker is going to win this race. And he was there and he made it happen, but whatever, that's fine. Everyone likes to be right. I do think the Olympics I think because Tokyo was so reserved, because there was no fans, because it was still in the middle of COVID, because a lot of things, Tokyo was exciting, but it just wasn't, it didn't feel like huge. And I think Paris felt huge. So I would say the Olympics in general, too. I mean, yes, the United States on the men's side just knocked it out of the park in distance events, which was really exciting. But the women ran really well, too. And I just felt like the Olympics in general were way more exciting than I thought they were going to be, which was cool.
Okay, speaking of that, I can't get any of these men on my podcast. Like, come on, Grant Fisher. Like, some of these men.
I know. Come on, Grant. You're going on Let's Run.
Come on.
His brand is too big.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not slamming Let's Run, but it's like if you're going on Let's Run, you're going on podcasts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the charts, Grant. Lindsay has a bigger reach.
Yeah, come on. Here's a good question then, if I do say so myself. Who would you be excited to listen to if I had on my pod? Like, who would you be like, oh, I'm going to give that one a listen?
Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
That's going to be easy to get on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to hear that.
Okay. Well, I can at least try.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I don't know. What about you, Des?
I've got nothing. I'm not sure.
Oh, come on, Des.
I don't know. I want to hear Noah Lyles come on here.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear you chop it up with Noah Lyles. What kind of questions would you ask him? Do you know about anime? Are you an anime fan? Do your kids? I feel like you could probably bring in Marshall and have like Marshall do really good.
Oh, my kids would die.
Yeah.
My kids, they did watch the Olympics and like the sprint.
Right, like
the
he's the
sprinters
guy.
are into it. Yeah, he's the guy. Because I said something to my kids the other day. No, I was telling my husband to make sure that nobody busted in when we're doing this. And I was like, the last important person I interviewed where people busted in was Michael Johnson. And I was like, I just kind of never thought I would interview Michael Johnson. And of course, I had kids like barging in. And my son Lewis was like, who's Michael Johnson? I was like, well, do you know who Noah Lyles is? He was like a bigger deal than Noah Lyles. So like,
Yeah.
But that
Shots fired. Cancel that interview. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I think that he would be extremely difficult. I think any of the sprinters are really hard to get on.
What about Grant Holloway?
Grant
I feel like
Holloway,
totally
he would do it,
underrated,
Lindsay.
That
he
would make
do it.
Grow totally new
He
audience.
was just with our friend. Des and I have a mutual friend, CB. She works at Procter & Gamble, and he was just in their offices. And he sent me this video through CB being like, you guys never talk about me.
Oh.
He would do it. And you know what? He does not get the love that he should.
He doesn't.
He's the most sub-13s, Olympic champion, multi-time world champion, world record holder in the indoor 60 hurdles, I think it is. Like, he does not, it's really weird to me because he has he has personality. He's funny. He's smart. His dad's a military guy. He's it's weird to me that he doesn't get more love. That I would listen to that in a heartbeat because you never get to hear from him.
Yeah, do that quick because now I'm
Des.
like, oh, maybe we need Grant.
We can. We can get him. But we can give him lots
Lindsay,
of love.
first dibs. Though.
Let's share
That's
him.
okay, though. That's okay. You have a much bigger and probably
but
a little
let's
bit of
give
a different
him lots
audience
of
than
love.
me. Let's give him lots of love.
Thing
Yeah.
there's a lot of different platforms that are doing a lot of different things. And your questions aren't going to be our questions. And you get to know Grant in a much bigger way, right? And he deserves all the fans because he's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, but how often, maybe I should know this, but I don't, like you guys don't really have people on the podcast much, do you?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, it's mostly just you two, right? Like,
yeah, every once in a while we've had someone. But in general,
it's tough.
It is tough because we have so much we want to talk about. And then
you want all the attention on you, Kara.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to make this about Dakota. I want this to be about me.
Was that fun though?
It was super fun.
Always.
But Lindsay, these two, Dakota and Des, right? All the best trash talking we've had in years on social. I mean, the funniest quips at each other. And then they're on the pod and they're both like, I love you. Like, they were so nice to each other. Yeah, they were like the whole time. So anyway, it turns out it's all just, it's fake. They're faking it.
Wait, I don't even know about the trash talking.
You should.
I saw that you guys posting about it after, but like I didn't know.
Dakota will be like, "When are you retiring?" Asking for a friend, and then like, Just all this stuff is so funny. But then I thought maybe they would like go at each other, but they were like, oh no, I really like you. Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
Okay, so exciting things with 2024. Are you guys like New Year's resolution people or like set goals? Or my dream is like for my husband to actually care to sit down with me and like envision what the year could be. I'm like every Sunday, I'm like, what are your hopes and dreams for the week? And he's like, what? Like I just
My husband would do the same thing. He'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
I want this though. I want the excitement. Do you guys make any like plans or goals or anything like that?
Not really. I think being a runner for so many years, like I feel like if I ever did see like, oh, what do I want to get for myself this year? It always started in the fall because school cross country started then, and then it was in college, and then it was like you're coming off the world champs of the Olympics or whatever. So I still, when I do think about like, what do I, now that I have a child in school, obviously an 8th grader. So it's like, I think I'm still in that mode of if I do think like, oh, what do I want to do differently? I think about it in the fall.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of don't like the tradition of being like, oh, well, I'm going to wait till Jan 1 to do this, you know? And then it lasts for however long it lasts. And then you're like, well, next year. I think you should be allowed to reset whenever you want. Mm-hmm. So I sort of avoid it just because it's so rigid. Like, well, I'll do it 3 days before.
Do you do a dry January?
No.
A dry January? No.
Goodness no.
Goodness no.
No.
Do you feel like the like whiskey jokes have like died down finally?
Yeah. I mean, probably the coolest thing that came out of that is folks like when I go places, they're like, oh, this is from a distillery nearby. You should try it out. And they'll give me a bottle, which is amazing. So I've collected a number of bottles, a lot. The problem with it, and it like sometimes, well now recently I'll like open it and have a sip in the room, like just a glass or whatever. And then I can determine whether I want to check a luggage or not. Because if you go to the airport with a bottle, someone gave me one like on the ride to the airport. It was a Vegas airport. I'm like, oh, I bought you this bottle. It's like, fantastic. I'm not checking my bag. And like, how do I dispose of this?
Yeah.
It's actually really like, can I give it to someone? And then they're like, is this a bomb? You know, like at the airport, you can't just leave it somewhere because that's weird. So yeah.
And it gets wasted. You want to give it to someone who like, would enjoy it or appreciate it. Right. And also like not some random person who might have an alcohol problem that you don't want to give it to.
Like enabler.
Yeah. I've wondered about that. So I feel like outside of the Boston Marathon, that's like one of the things you're known for is your whiskey, being a whiskey connoisseur. Okay. Anything you're excited about for 2025 as far as like athletes or performances or races? Do we know? We probably don't know what anybody's running in the spring or anything.
Not yet. I mean, Houston will be great because it's always great. I think that'll be, top of mind as you head into the new year, worth talking about. I mean, I think you have to be excited about just the potential in the marathon, like sub 2:10. Like, what are we going to see next? What's it going to look like? The men's is equally insane. So that's always just fun to hit refresh, reset on your mind of like what's possible in the distance. Cause I feel like every time we set these mental barriers, like, oh, she ran 2:11:50. That's crazy. And then in a year, it's not crazy anymore. So who knows what's going to happen? I think that's interesting. And then obviously the men's 15 in general is always fun. And a bunch of different leagues popping up. I'm taking them all. Go, Kara.
No. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I think the leagues are going to be interesting. How do they work? And the athletes that do them, does it affect their season at the World Champs or does it not? What does that all look like? I agree the men's 15 is going to continue to be a storyline, I think, for a while, which is, it's cool from the perspective of working at NBC where distance is really not showcased a lot. And now we have this storyline that everyone is sinking their teeth into with these personalities and the way that they showboat and talk, which we can eye roll, but it's actually awesome because people care. I do think the women's 1500 continues to be really exciting too. Not that Faith looks vulnerable, but it does look like people are closing that gap. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited to see Alicia Munson return. I'm excited to see what Elise Cranny does, being healthy finally now for a year.
Speaking of events.
Yeah, go for it.
10,000 meter opportunities potentially.
We keep putting the pressure on ourselves every time we mention this.
I have
Wait,
to,
what are you doing?
Are
you running a 10,000?
Well, we're not. No, she's not running the 10,000. But the 10,000 is sort of on the chopping block of Olympic events, and it's been basically cut out of Diamond League, and so now you have the 10 at the last week of March, but that's really it. And there was this race called the Night of 10,000 PBs over in Europe, and people would fly over there and do it to try to get their qualifiers, but that has now, it's not going to be run in 2025. So you're essentially looking at the 10 to get your world championship standard, and that is it. That is your one and only opportunity. And so Des and I have talked about this for a little bit. I think Grant Fisher showed how exciting the 10,000 can be to an American audience, blah, 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 blah. We've been looking at putting on a 10,000, and...
Like you two?
Yeah.
Fun.
So I've had a friend that's done a lot of the legwork here, reaching out to stadiums and trying to see what would happen. And I've talked to coaches, and the coaches want it because the opportunities are so small. Yeah. So we're looking at something at the beginning of May, but it's not official or set in stone yet. But we keep talking about it because it puts the pressure on us to deliver.
And every time we talk about it, there's we get a little bit closer to it, right? You just set a potential time frame, which is crazy. And you have potential
It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, I know. But that's why we have to keep the fire under our butt.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. Did you ever think I'm going to host an event? I'm going to create a 10,000?
No, but this is one thing I'll say that we are excited about moving forward is it's okay, what can we do? We love the sport so much, and what can we do to give back at times? And I think this 10,000 for us would feel really rewarding to give athletes an opportunity to get the US ATF standard, to get the world championship standard, to put some prize money on the line. It would make us feel we're getting listeners, and obviously we're monetizing our podcast now, and this is a way for us to, give back in a way for all the riches that we're getting, and also just save an event that I personally love so much. I've convinced Des she loves it too, I think. But it's an event that I love so much because it's an event that changed my life. So I don't want it to die. And yeah.
Okay. Do you think you would even be considering this had you not started your podcast?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's so
make
cool.
Sense.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I saw the Marathon Project is coming back again. Speaking of homemade events. Can we call it a homemade event? Is that a good way to put it? It's a classy event, but it's
DIY.
Yeah, DIY. So over COVID, I did this series called Fun Friday Episodes, and Des came on for one of them, and we created a fun playlist. And then we open it up to you all to add your songs. But I was telling Des and Kara before, I think I have to keep it closed because there were some songs that got added, and I was like, I want to listen to this playlist, and I don't want to listen to those songs. So we're going to keep it closed. So do y'all have some songs?
This is my nightmare because I don't.
You're
I'm
a top
cool.
40 girl, aren't you?
I'm top 40
That's
and
okay.
hardcore 80s. And
that's great.
I just anytime anyone wants me to add a song, I'm the people are wait, what?
Kara, we love you for who you are. Okay. I have an 80s song. I have an 80s song on my list, and I think it's kind of weird, but I added it anyway. So.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I'm going to start. This is a song that I don't know if I had Nathaniel Rateliff or when you have a artist and you're play this radio on Spotify and then you discover new people. That's how I discovered Camp or whatever. This guy is called Charlie Crockett. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And it's this song called I'm Working. And I just love it. It makes me feel doing something big. It makes me feel like I want to work hard. And so it kind of has an old school vibe to it. And the cover of his album, he's got a fun hat on and almost a 1950s outfit. So, okay. So that's it. My first. I'm Working, Charlie Crockett.
Okay. I'll go next. Kara, is that okay?
Yeah.
By a little time.
I know what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
It's just really pathetic.
No, I think this will be really fun and eclectic because I'm going with a pretty light country song early because I feel like at the
Country.
beginning of a run you want to like just ease into it. And I was a big Zach Bryan fan. I'm on the fence. Have you been following the drama?
I'm
No.
Des, I'm
Zach
so sad.
Zach Bryan, Brianna Chicken Fry. Look it up. It sounds crazy. Anyhow, in
I'm
listening
sad.
to yeah, I know. In listening to him, I found J.R. Carroll. And I'm going to go with Hometown Hero because I just like it. And I think it'll get you into the artist. And he's great.
J.R. Carroll.
Hometown Hero. Yep.
Okay, I like it.
Okay.
Yes, side note, yes, I'm super sad about Zach Bryan. I saw
I
him
have
in
to look this
concert
up.
Yeah.
and
He's on a lot of my playlist.
I think he's like one of the best songwriters. Like he's so good. His voice is amazing. He was amazing in concert and now I'm like, well, shoot. He's
Art
probably an
from
asshole.
artist.
Okay.
Really, really, really sad. And so I
Yeah.
have found myself changing his songs too because I'm like, I don't want to listen to that. But Pink Skies is like the best song ever, you know? Dang it.
It is a
Okay.
very good song.
Go ahead, Kara.
Okay, so you guys are going with a little bit more like get into it. So I know
Sure.
you know the
There's our
song
warm
Stick
up.
Season. It's like it was my most played song this year.
Love that.
What is it?
Stick Season.
Oh, I love that.
That's
Yeah,
a great
it's
song.
just it's not necessarily it can be sad if you want it to be, but I just really love that song. I like the beat, I love everything. I like play it really loud in my car and sing it, and yeah. That's
a good
my
one.
first one. Yeah, the rest are probably going to all be 80s, except for one other one that's modern.
Okay. Sometimes I get sad that I'm not from the Northeast when I listen to Noah Conks. I'm like, I feel like this would be a lot more meaningful if I grew up in Boston.
Yeah, but you can just think about like it doesn't have to be from Boston. You can just think about like your childhood and high school experience and reminisce. I mean, that's like I'm like the biggest weirdest reminiscer. I'm very happy with my life. I'm very happy with the choices I make. But I do like to kind of mentally go think of like how it could have gone differently if Choose Your Own Adventure had gone differently. And I don't have any regrets. I'm not saying I'm not going to be in some Hallmark movie where I go back. But I am a reminiscer and I do like to think about how life could have been different. And those songs make me feel like that.
Yeah, I think that's normal. I think that's healthy. That's a good way to put it. I think that's healthy. Are we lying if we say we don't do that?
I mean, I would be, so.
Yeah. There's a little bit of nostalgia there. Okay,
Yeah.
my next song is this is random. When I was prepping for this interview, I listened to like an episode of Call Her Daddy.
Oh.
For prepping for this interview.
Yeah, wow. We are
Wow.
caught off guard here.
So you don't know what I'm about to ask you, ladies. No. I just was like, let me like hear what her interview style is and like hear, obviously she's like super successful. And I just
Did you
like
learn
wanted to.
anything?
Well, so I listened to since I was interviewing you two together. I listened to her episode with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. Yeah, because I was like, let me see what this like vibe is. And it was different. And I have to think. So now I've listened to a couple episodes on her podcast. And for sure, her guests are like, yes, you can ask me about my sex life, or no, you may not ask me about my sex life, because she's getting into it with Christina Aguilera, which with Paris and Nikki, like that wasn't really discussed. So anyway,
We said no, just for the audience. We were like, nah.
I mean, the Christina Aguilera one though, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe she's like telling the world all these things. But anyway, on that note, this is where I'm saying this. I'm picking a Christina Aguilera song. And we're going to go with Dirty. You know that one?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because I get into these like...
You don't know that
Well, I probably do, but
You
I probably
do.
don't realize
You
I
do.
do.
When I hear like a podcast interview or something, and then like I was listening to, I think it was Jelly Roll on Theo Von. Any artist they talk about, I then go look up that artist and just like deep dive. And so now I think I'm on probably like a 3-day Christina Aguilera binge.
Nice.
Do you just leave your headphones on when you're caring for your children? How do you
No.
have time for all that? Do you listen at 2x
I know. How
speed?
do you have time? You
Oh, the
four
podcast?
kids.
Yeah,
The
all of
podcast?
it. The music, the podcast,
Yeah,
the research.
yeah. I do a lot of car podcast listening. So like if I drive anywhere, like I went to the gym this morning and I listened to Christina on Call Her Daddy on the way to the gym. And then I listened to Christina's music on the treadmill.
Okay.
Then I did a weight class, and then I finished the interview on the way home. So that's
efficient.
Yeah.
If I fold laundry, I listen to a podcast kind of thing, you know.
Okay. All right. Just checking in.
Yeah, yeah. Do you listen to any? Do you guys listen to any?
Yes. I
What
listen
are
to
your
a lot
favorites?
of podcasts. You're not going to know them. I'm really
That's
random.
okay.
Like I listened to this series called Pretendians about white people pretending to have native blood. I listened to all 4 seasons of this podcast called Nobody Should Believe Me, and 5th season's about to start. I listen to really random stuff.
How do you
I'm
find
also
them?
a car driver. I used to only listen to running, which I still do when I'm getting ready to work, and then I would just listen to crime stuff. And then I was like, I need to broaden my horizons. And then I'll just randomly pick one. And if it doesn't stick after an episode, I'll move on. But yeah.
How do you randomly pick it though? Like where do you
Well,
find
like
it?
I
Do you
was
look
on
up, like, the
Apple
top-
and like Pretendians was just like in one of their recommended. And then I listened to the first one. I was like, oh no, I'm hook, line, sinker. I like cannot stop listening to this. And then same with Nobody Should Believe Me. I'm not even sure how I found it. I found season 4 and like binged it. Like I'm making dinner. The boys are trying to talk to me and I'm like, stop talking to me. And then I went back and now I listen to the first, second, and third one too. So I don't know. I listen to podcasts a lot. Yeah, but not athletic ones and not ones about how to make your life better or anything like that.
Yeah. It's in the fringe hours, Des. It's in the like in-betweens. That's what I call it, the in-between hours.
I like that you're efficient with your time.
I have to drive Colt like across town to go to school, and it's like 20 minutes, and I have to do it twice a day. And so it's like sometimes I listen to the radio, but a lot of the time I just listen to a random podcast. Yeah.
Or I'll sneak out on like a 30-minute walk and just like get a little bit in.
Yeah, walk the dogs.
Sneak out.
Okay, what's our next song? I think it's back to you, Des.
Am I up? Okay, I'm going to go. I think it's trending kind of the same. A little more upbeat. This is one that I listened to a lot on the way to workouts last year. I feel like it was a good running vibe. And maybe you'll hate this, maybe you'll love it. But the new Eminem album, I enjoyed. I thought it was very good. I'm going to put Bad One.
Okay.
Eminem in white gold.
Okay. Did you feel listening to the new album like, is he allowed to say these things? Like, I listened to it multiple times. And I was like, how is he still living? Like, how is he saying these things?
I liked it. I thought, I mean, not the content, but I think that like the concept of it and how it progresses and like he's killing his career and like there's just all these topics within the songs are, you know, individual, but the broader picture is just, it's great social commentary to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like you knew that going in. I hate when I pick up something and I think I'm getting escapism or like a fun adventure and then you're like, this is just social commentary. I didn't sign up for this. So being aware of it was good.
Yeah, and I didn't know that Abracadabra song was like a Steve Miller Band song. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Ryan told me. He was like, I've heard that before. Is this Steve Miller? I'm like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it's a problem though because my kids are really getting in, like they like Eminem, and I'm like,
Colt's really into Eminem. But
how do you feel about that? Because his, I mean, it's
hard.
like, yeah.
So Colt's, I mean, his favorite is who's the guy that just put out Cornucopia? Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, okay.
So Colt's, that's his favorite. And I'd never freaking heard of this person. And then apparently there's like a million albums already. So then I'm trying to listen to it so that I'm in. But Adam's always liked Eminem since, you know, Slim Shady days. And so that just wears off on Colt. But Colt is actually like, listens to all sorts of stuff. Like he also likes 80s. Like he's been influenced all over the place.
Do you just let it go? Like, you know,
well, I mean, like sometimes you just have to have the conversation. Like we just had a conversation the other day about like group chats and people saying racist stuff and what do you do? And like, if you don't call it out, then you're just as bad. And so it's like, it just sucks, but you just have to talk to your kids and like, I don't know, like he's 14, he's not an adult, but he he's listening to stuff that adults listen to. So you have to just like really be honest and say, like, if you ever say anything homophobic or racist, like, not only am I disappointed, but I'm going to be horrified if you don't own it and apologize and make it right. And, you know, we've talked a lot about group chats lately because people will say stuff and it's like, that's a digital, that's there forever. If you don't say that's wrong, then you're actually still part of the, like, I hate that we have to worry about this kind of stuff. But, anyway, I mean, Adam listens to all sorts of stuff that I don't. And when Colt rides with Adam, he's hearing it, right? So I also lean a little bit on Adam of like, you brought this music into his life, so you got to talk to him about it.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather Adam do that than like his kids at school and then you don't even know about it? It's like, at least there's an awareness. I don't know. Do you think Eminem's new album is worse than like his old stuff, or is it equal to, or...
I mean, I think it's different. I think the old stuff is more sexual. Like more sexual stuff.
Right? If you're looking at it from like a parental perspective and like what you want your kids talking about, it's still bad. He's been listening to that since he could be alive.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, it's tough, right? And it's just we're in a different era. Like my mom would have never let me listen to that. Colt's been listening to that since he was born. So it's like, I don't know.
I'm trying to think when I started listening to stuff like that, probably like 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like when I started listening to like real rap and probably like 8th grade.
A Snoop Dogg album ain't good.
That is
right.
Snoop Dogg and Notorious B.I.G. and all that stuff. Like it's,
and look at us.
It's replaying it. And we're fine. I mean, I have the worst mouth, but other than that, we're good people.
But like Russell is 8 and he like knows all the words to Rap God. And I'm like, I don't know if this is great. Like, I don't think he knows what he's saying half the time. But...
He doesn't know what he's saying. That's part of it too, right? That's why you have to continually have the conversations, because when Colt was little and was singing about Eminem, he didn't know what the hell he was saying.
No.
Or now he does a little bit more. So it's like, it's just, you have to just have that communication and understand that music is an expression and it's artistry, but it also can be harmful. And like, when is it appropriate? When is it? I mean, it's exhausting being a parent. I don't know how you have 4 kids.
I don't either.
Blows my mind.
She just puts her headphones on and like, you guys solve it.
All I'm doing is listening to podcasts all day, guys.
Just do the first one really well, like the oldest. Teach them really well.
And then they'll just all be like him.
Then he can do the parenting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was watching Rhythm and Flow the other day. Have you guys watched that?
Mm-mm.
It's like American Idol for rappers. Okay. And my kids really like rap, but I was like, I can't watch this with them. I just can't.
Right.
Like, it's too vulgar.
Do your kids watch different movies with your husband than they do with you?
No, we kind of all watch them together, or like
I'll go on trips and I'll come back and I'll be like, you guys watched what?
Wait, do you know what? This is embarrassing. I was watching Hacks with my father-in-law the other day when we were in town for Thanksgiving, and Lewis was in the room, and there were these like sexual comments that were kind of like, maybe he didn't get, you know, but I was like, I don't know, I'm going to change this. I'm feeling uncomfortable. So I put on The Hangover.
Oh, God.
And I was like, this will be fine. It's mostly just like party references. And like, then the end, do you remember the end of The Hangover? They do that, those pictures, they look at the camera.
Yeah.
And I did not remember. I mean, it is like strippers. All of my kids are in the room. And then later, Sandy's like, Mom let us watch this sexy show. And I was like, turn it off. So I watched The Hangover with my kids.
There's no judgment for me, man. I mean, I remember Colt was little and Adam, and then he started singing all the songs from 8 Mile. And then I'm like, oh, that's a movie. And he's like, I know, Dad and I watched it. And I was like, what?
So did we fast forward the Brittany Murphy scene in the warehouse?
Adam, and he's like, no. And I'm like, what the hell? My little angel is not so little and ain't angelic anymore. But also, I do think it leads to them having conversations that like are uncomfortable maybe for Colt to have around me. So I think Adam's a great dad, but I have been shocked at times where I'm like, you watched what? Okay.
I love 8 Mile though. I've watched those rap battles with my kids, like when they're actually like in the underground place doing the rap battles. So good. Okay, cool. So you didn't know that answer was going to take us there.
No.
Kara, you have a song. We'll each do one more. Oh, you have to do two more, Kara, but Des and I
I'll
will
give
do one
you
more.
the song that I don't know how it didn't become bigger this summer. I played it all the time. My sister was like, of course you'd like this song. Sabrina Carpenter, Please, Please, Please. How are not more people singing this song? It's so good. And like the beats in it, like I'm not on TikTok, but I almost want to get on TikTok just to make up a dance to it.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't understand how this song isn't bigger. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
Is it back to me? Okay. I'm going to do an 80s song because you haven't done one yet. And it's kind of random and kind of silly, but I love the song All She Wants to Do Is Dance by Don Henley.
Wow.
All she wants to do is dance. Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it.
What do you got, Des?
Oh, you guys are cracking me up. Okay. Kind of danceable, very fun. De La Soul, Otis Redding, I Know.
Okay.
I don't know that I know that song.
You'll have to listen to it.
Okay.
I'm not going to sing it, so.
Okay. That's too bad. Okay, go ahead, Kara.
Okay, 80s. This song is on every single playlist that I've ever made in my life. It's called A Little Respect by Erasure, and it's from the 80s.
Wow.
A Little Respect.
Is it Jock Jams? Is this a Jock Jam?
Oh, I love
tried
Jock
to
Jams.
discover. Well, we love Jock Jams too.
We're the era.
Des is really good at doing. You all ready for this? Yeah.
Do you know the football, the NFL? You're not an NFL fan, are you, Lindsay?
No.
I feel like I saw your post where you're like, no, I hated all these games.
I mean, I have to watch them though. Like, I'm not a fan, but I'm like forced. I have 4 boys and a husband who's obsessed. So like, football is always on. I know more than you would think.
No lyrics, all instrumental, Gary Glitter, rock and roll part 2. I mean, if that doesn't get you ready to run down the field, I don't know what will. Like, that's my amp up for football games. You can put it on there if you want. Listen to it. It's very Jock Jams. If we just made a Jock Jams playlist, I think that would actually do really well as well.
I think that's a great idea. Are you Des, are you a Lions fan? Who are you a fan?
And
like, who's your team?
Chargers and Lions.
Chargers.
Those are my teams.
What about you, Kara?
Nope.
Your husband, your family, your husband?
Broncos fans, they are.
Sorry about that.
I hang out and pretend, but really I'm just on my phone.
Same.
I grew up in a hockey household, and then we sold the North Stars to Dallas, and then there was like, so I know hockey pretty well. I don't know football at all. I have learned to appreciate it and to like, but I feel bad. I like getting to know Des. I should have said this earlier. Like, she knows sports. I know running and a little bit of skiing, a little bit of tennis. She knows sports. And it makes me feel like I should invest a little bit in baseball and football because she knows it so well. Like, I know a little bit about women's basketball, tennis, and, whatever, and a lot about running. She knows sports.
I want Des to like sit on the couch at my house with all my boys and like just like talk football.
We'll get some of that Eminem language coming out.
You
trash talk.
You do a much better job.
I love San Diego sports, but I think that's like more than sports. I love being a fan of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being a fan of like something that connects people around you, and you're just like in it together, and you can go back and forth and like talk some shit with the other team, but at the end of it you're like, that was a cool experience. Like, I cared about this thing. It went my way or it didn't, but I was emotionally invested and I wasn't worried about like the problems in the world for 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. That's what I love.
That's the best feeling. Okay. Text, call, or email. Like, if I would have called you guys instead of texting you an hour and a half before this call,
no one would have picked up.
Would you have just like fallen off your chair? Like, why is my phone ringing?
Yeah, I never answer my phone ever. Text is the way to get a hold of me. Yeah.
I have 320 missed calls. Inbox 0, text 0. So,
I have one friend that always calls, and I'm like, I guess we're just doing this.
You know what? It's always good, right? Like, it is good. And I'm always like, oh, I should just call more often. Then we wouldn't have to talk for an hour. But then I have anxiety about it, and another year goes by, and then I have another hour-long phone call.
Yeah. Okay, last question, guys. What can we expect for you? Is there anything we should know about the pod in 2025? Like anything fans should know that they should be like, I want to go to this live show, or I want to, whatever. Wait, you're pointing at me?
No, I think that probably the biggest, most exciting thing is, coming up is Houston Live. And that'll be kind of the biggest capacity we've had. So the tickets haven't sold out in like 20 seconds because Kara posted it and everyone was like, yay! And then I don't get to post it. I'm like, dang. So Houston will have a big space and we're excited to see. We would love to try and fill it. Like, let's see how many people we can get out. Let's show proof of concept. More sponsors will be involved. Then we can take those sponsors and put them at events or whatever the other opportunities are that we can get people interested in track and field and running. So support us by showing up in Houston, and then we can take that proof of concept and show that people want to watch our sport and care about our sport.
How big is that venue? Like, how many people could it fit?
Well, the lower level can fit 600, but it can seat 1,000. So the biggest show we've done has been around 300 and it sold out, within a few hours. So this is new for us and we're excited about it just to see what we can do. And then like Des said, if we can get a pretty big number there, we feel like we can use that to grow the sport in different ways moving forward. So we're really excited about it. We took a risk on ourselves. Chris did the organization. I will say Chris organized everything, but it wasn't like a sponsor organization or the race didn't organize it or, every other live show we've done, someone else has organized it and we've just shown up. So we kind of took a risk on ourselves and had to put a lot of money into securing this venue and getting insurance and all that kind of stuff. So we're excited about it and we're excited to see what happens.
I love that. Yeah, that's what I think Des and I talked about this. Like, there's a way to get outside of the inside baseball of the sport, right? And like a podcast like your podcast is the way to do that. Like, how can we reach people that aren't already don't already know who all the pros are and following super closely? And so I'm excited to cheer you on and see you keep growing and topping the charts. So I'll be at a show sometime soon.
Love it.
Sounds good.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Kara and Des, for coming on the show and kicking off the year with me. Can't wait to see what you all do in the next 12 months and beyond. If you all want to learn more about what I'm doing over here, you can check out the website, sandyboyproductions.com. It's got all of the shows in our network over there, including Finish Lines and Milestones, the Illuminate podcast, and the Trail Network podcast. You can also learn more about what I'm up to at lindsayhine.com. I've got training plans over on my website, and you can check those out. We've got 5K plans, half marathon plans, and marathon plans, and they're very well designed with a conservative build, pre and post run stretching and strength, videos included, as well as a pace chart. Good stuff, good stuff. It's lindsayhine.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram. I'm lindsayhine626 over there. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week on I'll Have Another with Lindsay Hine podcast.